The alarm went off at exactly 6 in the morning on the space station. Lieutenant Hyun was drinking his coffee when the sound started. He put down his cup and looked at the screen in front of him. Something was wrong. A ship was in trouble. Around him, the alien workers started to move very fast. They were making worried sounds. Hyun had worked with these aliens for 2 years now, but he had never seen them act like this before. Something was very wrong. Commander Dae-jin walked into the room. He was the boss of all the human workers on this rescue station. The station was big, floating in space near a moon. Many different alien species worked here together. Their job was to save ships that got into trouble. "What is happening?" Dae-jin asked. He looked at the aliens running around. A tall alien with many legs came over to him. His name was Chitkor. He looked like a giant bug, but he was actually very smart and kind. Right now, his mouth parts were shaking. The computer that translated his words said he was scared. "A human ship," Chitkor said. His voice sounded upset. "The ship is called Morning Star. Their engine broke. They are stuck in the dead sector." Dae-jin felt his heart beat faster. The dead sector was a very bad place in space. Ships could not travel fast there. The space itself was dangerous and unpredictable. If a ship got stuck there, it would take a long time to reach them. "How many people are on the ship?" Dae-jin asked. 4 humans, Chitkor answered. He pressed some buttons and a screen appeared in the air. It showed information about the ship. And their emergency supplies are not enough. A woman walked up to them. Her name was Minji, and she was also human. She worked as a specialist on the station. She was very good at understanding alien technology. "Let me see what they have," Minji said. She looked at the floating screen. Chitkor made the list of supplies appear. Everyone could see what the humans on the Morning Star had with them. The list showed some food packages, a machine to clean and reuse water, a box of medical supplies, some thermal blankets, basic tools, and a small solar panel to make electricity. All the humans in the room became very quiet. The aliens around them started making sad sounds. Some of them were touching each other in ways that meant they were sorry. It was like they were already at a funeral. A strange alien made of crystal walked over. His name was Tolvax. His species was famous for being very logical and smart. They were good at math and science. "This is not enough," Tolvax said. His voice sounded like wind blowing through glass. "We calculated everything. These supplies can only keep 4 humans alive for 2 days, maybe 3 days if they are very careful, but the rescue will take 10 days minimum." Dae-jin looked at the list again. It did look like very little. Even for trained space crew members, this was not much. But something inside him said not to give up hope yet. "We must tell them to say goodbye to their families," Chitkor said. His voice was very sad. "It is the kind thing to do. They should send final messages while they still can." "Wait," Minji said loudly. Everyone looked at her. "Let us just watch them first, before we decide they are going to die. Humans are different. We can survive in ways you might not expect." The alien workers looked at each other. They moved their heads, their tentacles, their antennae in ways that showed they did not believe her. They thought she was just being hopeful because the people on the ship were human like her. Commander Dae-jin made a choice. He was the leader, and he had to decide what to do. "Connect us to the Morning Star," he said, "and turn on the long-distance cameras. We will watch what they do. We will not give up on them yet." Chitkor wanted to argue, but he followed the orders. He pressed buttons and typed commands. Soon they had a video connection to the broken ship far away in space. "Morning Star, this is Galactic Rescue Station Talaxis," Dae-jin said into the communicator. "We have received your distress signal. Help is coming, but it will take 10 days to reach you. Do you understand?" There was a pause. Then a woman's voice came through, calm and clear. "This is Captain Ji-won of the Morning Star. Yes, we understand. 10 days. We will be ready when you arrive." Her voice did not sound scared. She did not sound like someone who thought she was going to die. She sounded like someone making plans. "Captain, we have reviewed your supply list," Dae-jin continued. "Your situation is difficult. We want you to know that we are doing everything we can." "We appreciate that, Commander," Captain Ji-won replied. "We have 4 crew members, adequate supplies, and working shelter. We will make this work." Morning Star out, the connection ended. Everyone in the rescue station control room stared at the speakers. "Did she say adequate supplies?" asked a blob-like alien. His species needed very specific food and water. They could not survive if conditions were not perfect.
"Those supplies are not adequate."
"For humans, maybe they are," Minji said quietly. She pulled up some information on another screen. "Look at human history. Look at what we have survived. Images appeared on the screen. Humans living in frozen wastelands. Humans in burning deserts. Humans on mountains where the air was thin. Humans surviving in jungles on tiny islands in the middle of oceans on small boats. Humans who had lived through famines, disasters, and wars. Your species is very adaptable, Tolvax observed. His crystal body flashed with different colors. But this is space. The rules are different here. Maybe, Dajin said. He activated the observation system. Cameras on satellites would watch the morning star from far away. They would see everything the crew did. But let us see what happens. I have a feeling we are all about to learn something important about humans. Lieutenant Hyun sat back down at his station. He pulled up the video feed from the morning star. He could see the 4 crew members gathering in their emergency shelter. They looked thin and tired, but they were moving with purpose. Around him, dozens of alien species watched their screens. They were all expecting to witness a tragedy. They thought they would watch 4 humans slowly die over 10 days, unable to survive with such basic supplies. But Hyun had a different feeling. He was human. He knew what humans could do when they had to survive. He had heard stories from his grandfather about the old days on Earth, about humans who had survived impossible things with almost nothing. On the screen, Captain Ji-won was organizing her crew. Even from far away, Hyun could see that she was making lists, giving orders, setting up systems. She was not giving up. None of them were. This is going to be interesting, Minji said next to him. She was smiling just a little bit. The aliens did not understand why she was smiling. How could she smile when her fellow humans were about to die? But she was not smiling because she thought it was funny. She was smiling because she knew something the aliens did not know yet. She knew what humans were capable of. She knew that they were about to be surprised. The observation would last 10 days. 10 days of watching. 10 days of waiting. 10 days to see if 4 humans could do the impossible. The shift continued. Other rescue missions came and went. But everyone kept one eye on the screens showing the morning star. Even the aliens who were sure the humans would not survive found themselves checking the feeds again and again. They could not look away. Something about the way the humans moved, the way they worked together, the way they refused to panic, was fascinating to them. Deep in the dead sector of space, on a broken ship with basic supplies, 4 humans began their fight to survive. And in the rescue station, dozens of aliens began to learn that humans were not like other species. They were about to discover that humans were special in ways they had never imagined. Inside the Morning Star, Captain Ji-won looked at her crew. They were in the emergency shelter, which was the only part of the ship that still had air and heat. The rest of the ship was dead, dark, and cold. Okay, everyone, she said. We have 10 days. Let us see what we have to work with. She had a small tablet computer that still worked. She pulled up the list of everything in their emergency kit. It was not a long list. Taeyang was already working. He was the engineer, the person who fixed things and made things work. He had taken off one of the wall panels and was looking at the wires inside. Captain, he said, I can use these wires. We will need them. Need them for what? Asked Sora. She was the pilot, the youngest person on the crew. She was 26 years old and this was her first emergency. For everything, Taeyang said. He was smiling. It seemed strange to smile when they were in such danger, but he looked excited. To him, this was a puzzle to solve. Dr. Minho was counting the medical supplies. He was the ship's doctor, responsible for keeping everyone healthy. We have enough water for 6 days if we are careful, he said. Food will last maybe 5 days if we eat normal amounts. Far away at the rescue station, the aliens watched on their screens. Why is their engineer breaking the ship? Tolvax asked. His crystal body was flashing confused colors. That does not make sense. Just watch, Dajin said. He was not completely sure what Taeyang was doing either, but he knew humans. They always had a plan. Back on the ship, Captain Ji-won took out a knife from the emergency kit. She started cutting the thermal blankets into long strips. Minho, she said as she cut. We need to eat less food than normal. Make a plan. Taeyang, what can we burn if we need to make heat? Already thinking about it, Captain, Taeyang said. He came out of the wall holding some flat panels. These panels will burn slowly. They will not make much poison smoke. Not the best choice, but we will not freeze to death. Sora was working on the water recycling machine. Her hands moved fast and sure. She had done this kind of work many times in training. I can make this work better, she said. I can make it 30% more efficient. That means we can get more water from it. We will be drinking our own sweat and breath, basically, but it will give us 3 more days of water. The aliens watching fell silent. They could not believe what they were seeing. They are not panicking, Chitkor said. His mouth parts were shaking. He did not understand. Why are they so calm? Because panic does not help, Minji explained. She was watching the screens with a small smile. They are trained crew members. Engineers, doctors, pilots. This is just another problem they need to solve. But they do not have the right equipment, said a jelly-like alien. Its translator ball was bouncing up and down with excitement. They should be crying. They should be scared. Daejin watched as Captain G1 organized everything. She was making lists on the wall with a marker. She was giving each person jobs to do. She was making a schedule for when they would sleep, when they would eat, when they would work. You are about to learn something about humans, Daejin said quietly. We are not the strongest species. We are not the smartest. We do not live the longest. But we have something special. What? Asked Tolvax. He really wanted to know. We are stubborn, Minji answered. We refuse to give up. We have survived ice ages on Earth. We survived terrible diseases. We survived when we had no food, no water, no shelter. We did all that with just rocks and sticks. A broken spaceship with an emergency kit? That is actually pretty good compared to what our ancestors had. On the screen, they watched as the crew worked together. Each person had a job. Each person knew what to do. There was no crying, no screaming, no giving up. Taiyang explained his plans to the captain. He talked fast, using his hands to show what he meant. He was going to build new systems using parts from the broken ship. He was going to make the solar panel work better. He was going to create tools they needed from things they already had. Dr. Minho was very precise with the medical supplies. He organized everything carefully. We can make the antibiotics last longer if we are smart, he said. The pain medicine we save for real emergencies. These bandages here, Taiyang can use these for filtering water. You can filter water with bandages? Sora asked. The material is good for filtering, Minho explained. Not perfect, but it works. Sora had made a special area in the shelter. She called it the Calorie Conservation Zone. It was a cooler spot where they would sleep. If we sleep here where it is cooler, our bodies will use less energy, she explained. Less energy means we need less food. Every calorie we save is 1 more calorie in our emergency supplies. At the rescue station, the aliens were very confused. They are making themselves cold on purpose? Chitkor asked. Why would they do that? To save food, Commander Daejin said. Smart, actually. The human body uses energy to stay warm. If they are colder, they use less energy, so they need to eat less. That is clever, Tolvax admitted, but also uncomfortable. Survival is not about being comfortable, Minji said. It is about staying alive. Captain G1 had made a schedule and posted it everywhere. There were times for sleeping, times for exercising so their muscles would not get weak, times for doing work, and times for just talking to each other. Why do they have a time just for talking? Chitkor asked. Mental health, Daejin explained. Being alone and scared can kill you just like hunger can. They are keeping their minds healthy and their spirits strong. On day 4, something went wrong. A tiny rock hit the ship and made a small hole. Air started leaking out slowly. The aliens watching thought this was the end. Surely now the humans would panic. Surely now they would give up. Instead, Taiyang laughed. Finally, he said. Something interesting to do today. He took the medical glue, some plastic from the food wrappers, and some melted panel material. He mixed it all together and patched the hole. It was not pretty, but it worked. The air stopped leaking. That repair is very primitive, Tolvax said, but it is effective. It works. Dr. Minho was very careful with the food. He had done math to figure out exactly how much each person should eat. We are eating 60% of normal, he told the crew. You will feel hungry. That is normal, but we are not working very hard, so our bodies can handle it for 10 days. Your species can function while eating less? Asked the alien named Koln. For how long? Specialist Minji pulled up more information on her computer. Humans can live for weeks without food if we have water, she said. We are not happy about it, but we can do it. Some humans have survived more than 70 days with no food at all. Impossible, Tolvax said. His crystal body stopped flashing. He was shocked. Look it up, Minji said. Search for stories about shipwrecks. About people lost in the wilderness. About survival situations. We are surprisingly hard to kill. By day 5, the Morning Star crew had a routine. Every morning, Captain G1 gave them a briefing. She told them what needed to be done that day. Taiyang kept improving their systems, making them work better. Minho checked everyone's health twice a day, and Sora kept everyone's mood up with stories and jokes. Okay, Sora said during their scheduled talking time. I have a joke. Why did the human bring a ladder to the bar? The crew groaned, but Taiyang asked, why? Because they heard the drinks were on the house. Everyone laughed. They were tired and hungry, but the laughter was real. At the rescue station, the alien officers were beginning to understand something. These humans were different from any species they had ever seen. They did not just survive, they adapted. They took what they had and made it work. They found solutions where there should not be any solutions. How are they doing this? Kulin vibrated with confusion. By all our calculations, they should be dead or dying by now. They are human, Dejin said simply. This is what we do. We survived, the aliens kept watching. They could not look away. Every day they expected the humans to fail. Every day the humans proved them wrong. On the screens they saw 4 people who refused to die. 4 people who took a bad situation and made it work. 4 people who turned a death sentence into just another day at work. And slowly the aliens began to realize something important. They began to understand that humans were not lucky. Humans were not just tough. Humans were survivors in a way that went deeper than just physical strength. Humans had something in their spirit, something in their nature, that made them keep going when anyone else would have given up. They had creativity, stubbornness, humor, and hope all mixed together. The observation continued. 5 days down, 5 days to go, and everyone wondered what would happen next. Day 7 started with a new problem. Captain Jiwon woke up cold, very cold. She could see her breath in the air like fog. When she touched the wall, it was freezing. There was frost on the metal surfaces inside the shelter. The heating system had broken during the night. She looked at her crew. They were all shivering under their cut-up thermal blankets. Their lips were starting to turn blue. This was bad. Taiyang, she said, keeping her voice calm even though she was worried. Can you fix the heater? The engineer was already looking at the broken heating unit. He had tools spread around him. His hands were shaking from the cold as he worked. No, Captain, he said after a few minutes. The main part is completely dead. I cannot fix it. He paused and thought, but I can build something new. I can use the solar panels and redirect power from the storage bay. It will work, but it will take time. Do it, Jiwon ordered. Minho, check everyone. Make sure nobody is getting hypothermia. Already on it, the doctor said. He was checking Sora first, looking at her fingers and toes. At the rescue station, the medical officer Kulin was very alarmed. The alien was vibrating so fast it looked blurry. The temperature has dropped to 4 degrees Celsius, Kulin said. That is dangerously cold for humans. They will die. Specialist Minji checked the numbers on her screen. 4 degrees is cold, yes. But it is not deadly. Humans can survive that temperature, especially if they keep moving and stay active. Moving? Chitkor clicked his mouthparts together. But they have been trying not to move. They have been conserving energy. Watch, Dejin said. He pointed at the screen. On the Morning Star, something unexpected was happening. The crew was exercising. They were doing jumping jacks. They were doing push-ups. They were running in place even though the shelter was very small. What are they doing? Several aliens asked at the same time. Dr. Minho was exercising with them. While he did jumping jacks, he explained to Sora. We are making body heat, he said, breathing hard. 15 minutes of exercise. Then we all get under the blankets together. Our body heat will keep us warm until Taiyang fixes the heating. Get under the blankets together? Tolvax asked. He was watching the screen carefully. This is a survival method? Penguins do it in Antarctica, Sora said. Her teeth were chattering as she exercised. If it works for birds in the coldest place on Earth, it will work for us. The crew exercised until they were sweating despite the cold. Then they all huddled together under the thermal blanket strips. They sat close, sharing their warmth. It was not comfortable, but it worked. They stopped shivering. Taiyang worked as fast as he could. His fingers were stiff from the cold, but he did not stop. He connected wires, redirected power, and used parts from 3 different broken systems. After 2 hours, he had something that looked very strange, but worked. Done, he announced. It is not pretty and it will not win any prizes, but we have heat again. Warm air started flowing into the shelter. Everyone sighed with relief. Your species can survive in very cold temperatures? Asked a cat-like alien who had been quiet until now. Humans live in all kinds of climates on Earth, Minji explained. We have people living in deserts where it reaches 50 degrees Celsius. We have people living in the Arctic where it gets to negative 40 degrees. We adapt to where we are. Remarkable, the cat-like alien said softly. By day 8, the food situation was critical. Dr. Minho opened the last container of their normal rations. He divided it into 4 very small portions. Each portion looked sadly small on the plates. "This is it," he said. "After this, all we have left are the emergency glucose tablets and some protein paste that is expired." "How expired?" Sora asked. She looked at the tiny amount of food on her plate. 2 years past the expiration date, Minho admitted. Captain Jiwan picked up her plate and looked at the small amount of food. Then she shrugged. "I have eaten worse," she said. "The food at the Space Academy was terrible. This will be fine." The aliens watching were horrified. "They're going to eat expired food?" Kuln was vibrating so hard the translator had trouble keeping up. "This could make them very sick. They could die. Expiration dates on human food are usually very conservative," Dejin explained. "Especially for preserved food like this. It might taste bad, but it is probably safe to eat." "Probably," several aliens said together. They could not believe humans would take that chance. "We do not have a choice," Minji said. "And honestly, expired food is not the most dangerous thing humans have eaten to survive. Our history is full of stories about people eating things that would horrify you, and they lived." On day 9, everyone was very tired. The crew moved more slowly. They talked less. Their faces looked thin and their eyes looked tired. But they still followed the schedule that Captain Jiwan had made. They still did their jobs. Taeyang was constantly checking all the systems he had built. He adjusted things, fixed small problems, and made sure everything kept working. His hands never stopped moving. Minho checked everyone's vital signs multiple times each day. He wrote down their heart rates, their blood pressure, their temperature. He watched for any signs of serious problems. Sora maintained the water recycling system. She cleaned the filters, checked the connections, and made sure they would have water to drink. Jiwan kept everyone on schedule. She reminded them when to sleep, when to work, when to exercise, when to talk. She was like a clock keeping everything running on time. "They are showing signs of getting weaker," Tolvax observed. "But they keep working. Why do they not just rest and save energy for when rescue comes?" "Because the systems need maintenance," Commander Dejin replied. "If the water recycler breaks, they die. If the heating fails again, they die. They have to keep working to stay alive. And keeping busy helps keep their minds occupied," Minji added. "If they just sit and think about being hungry and scared, they will go crazy. Work gives them purpose." That evening, the crew had their scheduled social time. Sora insisted on telling another joke even though she was exhausted. "What did the humans say when they ran out of food?" she asked. Her voice was weak, but she was trying to smile. "What?" the crew replied. They all sounded very tired. Well, this day was going great until it started going bad. The laughter was quiet and tired, but it was real. Even the aliens watching felt themselves making sounds that were similar to laughter. "Their ability to find humor when they are suffering is unusual," Chitkor said. "Most species would be in despair by now." "That is very human," Minji said. "We laugh at death because if we do not laugh, we will cry. And crying does not help us survive." On the screens, they could see how much the humans had changed. They had lost weight. Their faces looked hollow. Their movements were slower. But they were still alive, still working, still making jokes, still refusing to give up. The aliens had stopped making predictions about when the humans would die. Every prediction had been wrong. The humans just kept surviving. "How much longer can they do this?" Kuln asked quietly. "They must be at their limit. One more day," Dejin said. "Rescue arrives tomorrow. They just have to make it one more day." On the Morning Star, Captain Jiwan was thinking the same thing. One more day. They had made it 9 days on supplies that should have lasted 2 or 3 days at most. They had survived cold, hunger, equipment failures, and exhaustion. They could survive one more day. She looked at her crew. Taeyang was asleep, still holding a tool in his hand. Minho was writing in the medical log, documenting everything that had happened. Sora was staring at the wall, too tired to sleep. "One more day," Jiwan said out loud. "One more day," Minho repeated without looking up. "We can do one more day," Sora said softly. "We have done 9. One more is nothing, and somehow that made it true. One more day was nothing compared to what they had already done. They had already done the impossible. One more day was easy. At the rescue station, the night shift took over. But nobody went to sleep. Everyone wanted to watch the final day. They wanted to see if the humans would really make it. Bets had been placed. Not about whether the humans would survive anymore, that seemed certain now, but about what condition they would be in when rescue arrived. Some aliens thought the humans would be unconscious. Some thought they would be delirious. Some thought they would need immediate medical intervention to survive. The humans at the rescue station did not bet. They knew better. They knew their fellow humans would be tired and hungry, but they would be awake, aware, and probably cracking jokes when the rescue team arrived, because that was just what humans did. They survived, and they did it with style. The final day was about to begin, and everyone was watching. Day 10 arrived. Captain Jiwon opened her eyes and felt relief wash over her. They had made it 10 days. They were still alive. She sat up slowly. Her body hurt. She was hungry. She was tired. But she was alive, and so was her crew. Rescue window opens in 6 hours, she announced. Her voice was rough, but it was steady. Let us make sure all our distress beacons are working. We need to be ready when they arrive. Taeyang was already awake. He looked very thin now, and his face was covered with a thick beard. He had lost a lot of weight over the past 10 days. Captain, he said, the water recycler is almost dead, but it will last until rescue arrives. The heating system might fail again, though. Then we will bundle up like we did before, Jiwon said simply. We have made it this far. A few more hours will not kill us. At the rescue station, the fleet was finally ready. They had been waiting for this moment. The dangerous space in the dead sector had finally stabilized enough for ships to enter safely. All ships, this is Fleet Commander Vaxith, announced a voice. The commander was a jellyfish-like alien who floated in a tank of special water. Proceed to the coordinates of the human vessel. Medical teams prepare for casualties, possibly prepare to recover bodies. The alien medical teams had prepared for the worst. They had body bags ready. They had equipment to preserve remains. They expected to find dead humans or humans who were barely alive. Commander Daejin and Specialist Minji went with the rescue mission. So did Chitkor and several other observers who had watched the entire 10 days. They wanted to see the end of this story. The rescue ship traveled through space. It took 4 hours to reach the Morning Star. When they got close, they could see the damaged ship floating in the dark. It looked dead. Several sections were completely dark. Only the small emergency shelter had any lights. Preparing to dock, the pilot announced. The airlock connected. There was a hiss as the pressure equalized. The door opened slowly. The alien medical teams rushed inside. They expected to find death. They expected to find suffering and despair. Instead, they found Captain Jiwon sitting at a makeshift desk made from a storage crate. She was writing in a logbook. She looked up when they entered. Good timing, she said calmly. We were starting to run out of Sora's terrible jokes. That would have been the real crisis. Dr. Minho was organizing medical supplies, packing them up neatly. Taeyang was taking apart his improvised systems, carefully documenting what had worked and what had not. And Sora was asleep in the calorie conservation zone, covered in strips of thermal blankets. The alien medical team just stood there. They did not know what to do. They had never seen anything like this. You are alive, Chitkor said. His mandibles clicked rapidly. He could not believe it. All of you.
How?
Captain Jiwon stood up slowly. Her knees cracked and popped. We had food. We had water. We had shelter. We had tools. What else did we need? Fleet Commander Vaxith floated into the shelter in his water tank. His transparent body was rippling with disbelief. Your supplies were insufficient by all galactic standards, he said. We calculated your probability of survival. It was less than 3%. You should be dead, Dr. Minho laughed. It was a tired laugh, but genuine. He accepted a nutrition pack from an alien medic and opened it immediately. Well, he said between bites, someone should check your math. Because we are all here. We are all fine. Hungry and tired, yes, but fine. Taeyang was already showing his systems to a confused alien engineer. The alien looked like a large bug with many arms, see? Taeyang explained enthusiastically. You take the wiring from the damaged panels. You combine it with the medical tubing. You add solar power. And you have a working distillation system. Basic thermodynamics, really. Basic? The alien engineer clicked in disbelief. This violates 100 safety regulations. These connections should not work. Yet they do. Welcome to human engineering, Taeyang said proudly. We have a saying, if it is stupid but it works, then it is not stupid. The crew was being escorted to the medical bay for examination. Sora finally woke up. She looked around at all the aliens, then at her captain. "Did I miss the rescue?" she asked sleepily. "Yes," Ji-won replied. "You slept through it?" "Typical," Sora muttered. "What is for dinner?" "Please tell me it is not more expired protein paste." The medical examination took 3 hours. The alien doctors ran every test they had. They scanned the humans from head to toe. They checked their blood, their organs, their brain function, everything. The results shocked them. "This is impossible," Dr. Coln vibrated. The alien was looking at the medical scans with disbelief. "They are undernourished. They are dehydrated. They are exhausted. But there is no major organ damage. No psychological trauma. No critical system failures. They are fundamentally healthy." Dr. Minho, who had showered and was now eating his third meal, just shrugged. "We are humans," he said. "We are built for this kind of thing. Not comfortably, no. But functionally. Yes, our ancestors survived ice ages and famines. We are the descendants of the ones who refused to die." In the observation lounge, a meeting was held. Commander Dae-jin, Specialist Minji, and all the alien observers gathered with the Morning Star crew. Tolvax, the crystal alien, spoke first. His body was pulsing with genuine curiosity. "I must understand," he said. "How did you maintain hope? How did you not fall into despair?" Captain Ji-won thought about the question carefully. She wanted to give a good answer. "Despair is a luxury we could not afford," she finally said. "We had work to do. We had systems to maintain. We had problems to solve. Hope was not something we felt. It was something we did. Every time we fixed something, every time we rationed our food carefully, every time Sora told a bad joke, those were acts of hope. Your species approaches survival differently than any species we have encountered," Fleet Commander Vaxeth observed. His body rippled thoughtfully. "You do not just endure harsh conditions. You adapt to them. You transform them. Humans are persistence hunters," Minji explained. "On Earth, we did not evolve to be the fastest or the strongest. We evolved to be the most stubborn. In ancient times, we would hunt animals by chasing them. Not fast chasing, slow chasing. We would follow our prey for days until it collapsed from exhaustion. We survive conditions that kill other species because we are too stubborn to die." Chitkor's mandibles clicked thoughtfully. "This explains much about human history. Your wars, your explorations, your technological development. You do not accept limitations. You see them as problems to solve." "There, pretty much," Taeyang agreed. He was working on his 4th plate of food. "Give a human a box of scraps and tell them it is impossible to build something useful, and they will build it just to prove you wrong." Sora raised her glass of water. "To spite," she declared. "To spite," the human crew echoed together. They were laughing. The alien observers did not fully understand the humor, but they recognized that something true had been said. Humans did things out of spite. They survived out of spite. They succeeded out of spite. It was a strange motivation, but it worked. Later, Commander Dae-jin met privately with the Galactic Rescue Service administrators. He had a report to give. "I recommend updating all galactic survival standards and emergency protocols," he said. "Your calculations for minimum human supplies are incorrect. Humans require less than you think because we are capable of more than you imagine." "You want us to reduce safety margins?" asked a concerned administrator. The alien looked worried. "No," Dae-jin clarified quickly. "I want you to understand that human emergency supplies are adequate. What looks primitive to you is actually the foundation for remarkable ingenuity. Humans can take basic tools and create advanced solutions." Chitkor added his own observations. "I have studied human history since this incident began. Humans have survived extinction-level events, climate catastrophes, and global wars with technology far inferior to modern standards. The emergency kit aboard the Morning Star would have seemed like advanced equipment to humans just a few centuries ago." "So you are telling us," the administrator said slowly, "that humans are accidentally overprepared for emergencies because their baseline survival instinct is so highly developed?" "Exactly," Minji confirmed. "We are not lucky survivors. We are humans. Survival is what we do. It is built into us at a fundamental level." The meeting ended with an agreement. The galaxy needed to update its understanding of human capabilities. The incident of the Morning Star would become a case study, taught in academies and military schools across known space. The news of the Morning Star spread across the galaxy like wildfire. Everyone wanted to know about the 4 humans who survived 10 days on supplies that should have killed them. News agencies sent reporters. Scientists wanted to study them. Military organizations wanted to understand their methods. Captain Jiwon and her crew spent 2 weeks recovering at the rescue station. They ate good food, slept in comfortable beds, and gained back the weight they had lost. The alien medical staff watched them carefully, amazed at how quickly humans could recover from such an ordeal. "Your regenerative capabilities are impressive," Dr. Coln observed as he checked Sora's vitals for the final time. 2 weeks ago, you were severely undernourished. Now you are almost back to normal. Humans bounce back pretty fast, Sora said with a smile. Give us food and rest and we are good as new. Meanwhile, Taeyang had become something of a celebrity among the alien engineers. They kept asking him to explain his improvised systems. He gave lectures, drew diagrams, and showed them exactly how he had built everything with basic tools and spare parts. The key is not to overthink it, he explained to a room full of alien engineers. You see a problem. You look at what you have. You figure out a solution. Do not worry about whether it is perfect. Worry about whether it works. A Vrelian engineer raised one of his many arms. But what about safety protocols? What about proper procedures? Safety protocols are important, Taeyang agreed. But in an emergency, survival comes first. You can follow perfect procedures and die, or you can improvise and live. I chose to live. The alien engineers clicked and hummed and flashed their lights in understanding. This was a new way of thinking for many of them. They had been taught to follow rules exactly. Humans taught them that sometimes you had to break the rules to survive. Dr. Minho gave presentations to medical professionals about human metabolic efficiency and survival capabilities. He showed them data from the 10 days, explaining how the human body adapted to low food intake. The human body is remarkably flexible, he explained. We can function on reduced calories for extended periods. We slow down our metabolism. We prioritize essential functions. We use stored energy from fat and muscle. It is not comfortable, but it works. But does this not cause permanent damage? Asked a concerned alien doctor. It can if it goes on too long, Minho admitted. But for 10 days? No, we recovered fully. Our bodies are designed to handle short-term deprivation. Our ancestors often went days without food while hunting or during winter. This is built into our biology. Captain Jiwon was interviewed by dozens of news outlets. Everyone wanted to know her secret. How did she keep her crew alive? How did she maintain morale? How did she stay so calm? There is no secret, she said in every interview. We are humans. We have been surviving impossible situations since we lived in caves. We learned to make fire, to create tools, to build shelters from nothing. A broken spaceship with an emergency kit? That is actually quite a bit to work with compared to what our ancient ancestors had. But were you not afraid? One reporter asked. Of course I was afraid, Jiwon admitted. Fear is natural. But fear does not help you survive. Action helps you survive, so I chose to act instead of sitting around being afraid. 6 months after the incident, the Galactic Rescue Service held a ceremony. They were unveiling new emergency kits for all human vessels. Everyone expected to see upgraded supplies. More food, more water, more equipment. Instead, the new kits were almost exactly the same as the old ones. The alien observers were very confused. Why did you not upgrade the supplies? Chitkor asked. After everything we learned, why keep them the same? The human liaison officer smiled. Because they work fine. We tested them. 4 humans survived 10 days with basic supplies. That proves the kits are adequate. But you could add more, a Phloxian administrator suggested. More food, better equipment, advanced tools. We could, the liaison officer agreed. But then humans might start to rely on having abundant supplies. Part of what makes humans good at survival is that we expect to make do with less. We are trained to improvise. If we give ourselves too much, we might lose that edge. The alien administrators did not fully understand this logic, but they approved the kits anyway. After all, humans knew humans best. Who were they to argue? The Morningstar crew received medals for their courage and ingenuity. They gave speeches about survival, about teamwork, about the importance of staying calm in emergencies. They became teachers, training other crews on survival techniques. Taeyang's improvised systems were actually patented. Companies started manufacturing them as backup emergency equipment. His water distillation system, his heating repair technique, his power redistribution method, all of them became standard training material. I just did what needed to be done, Taeyang said humbly when people praised him. Any engineer would have done the same. But that is the point, Chitkor replied. Any human engineer, yes. But most species would not have thought of these solutions. You saw possibilities where others saw limitations. 1 year after the incident, an alien university invited the Morningstar crew to speak. The lecture hall was packed with students from dozens of different species. They all wanted to understand the human survival instinct. Captain Ji-won stood at the podium looking out at the diverse crowd. "You want to know what makes humans special?" she asked. "I will tell you. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. We are not the smartest. But we have one quality that has kept us alive for millions of years. We refuse to quit." She clicked a button and images appeared behind her. Humans in ancient times surviving ice ages. Humans crossing oceans in tiny boats. Humans climbing the highest mountains. Humans exploring space. Humans surviving disasters, wars, famines, and plagues. Every one of our ancestors was a survivor. She continued. They survived things that should have killed them. They passed that survival instinct down to us. It is in our genes, in our culture, in our very nature. When faced with impossible odds, we do not calculate the probability of success. We just start working on solutions. Sora stepped up to add her perspective. And we have humor. Never underestimate the power of a bad joke when things look hopeless. Laughter is a weapon against despair. It reminds us that we are still alive, still human, still capable of joy even in the darkest times. Dr. Minho showed medical data. The human body is a survival machine. It can adapt to extreme temperatures, limited food, minimal water, high stress. It is not always pleasant, but it is effective. Evolution shaped us to survive, and we are very good at it. Taeyang demonstrated some of his improvised tools. Human engineering is about creativity and adaptation. We look at what we have, not what we wish we had. We make do, we improvise. We solve problems with whatever is available. This is not just engineering, it is a philosophy. The students asked questions for hours. They wanted to know everything. How to think like a human, how to improvise like a human, how to maintain hope like a human. The answers were always the same: practice, creativity, stubbornness, and a refusal to accept that anything is truly impossible. Elsewhere in the galaxy, other humans continued to prove these lessons true. A mining crew survived a cave collapse using only their lunchboxes and helmet lights. A research team lived through a toxic atmosphere leak by creating filters from their clothing. A family survived a ship collision by building an emergency beacon from children's toys and a damaged radio. Every time aliens predicted human failure, humans found a way to survive. It became almost predictable. If you put a human in an impossible situation, they would find a solution. They might not find a good solution or a safe solution, but they would find a solution that worked. The phrase, "humanity fuck yeah," became popular among aliens who worked with humans. It was said with admiration and affection. It meant, of course, the humans did it because humans always do impossible things. Captain Ji-won retired from active space duty 5 years after the Morningstar incident. But she continued teaching survival skills to new crews. Her classes were always full. Everyone wanted to learn from the captain who had kept her crew alive against impossible odds. On her last day of teaching, a young human student asked her a question. "Captain, what was the hardest part of those 10 days?" Ji-won thought about it carefully. The hardest part was not the hunger or the cold or the fear. The hardest part was maintaining hope when I did not know if we would make it. But I learned something important during those 10 days. What did you learn? I learned that hope is not a feeling. Hope is a decision. Every day I decided to hope. I decided to believe we would survive. I decided to act as if rescue was coming. And because I decided to hope, my crew decided to hope. And because we all hoped together, we survived together. The student nodded, understanding. Years passed. The Morningstar incident became legend. It was taught in schools, discussed in bars, referenced in military training. It became a symbol of human resilience and ingenuity. New ships were named Morningstar in honor of the original. Emergency drills were called Morningstar scenarios. When faced with impossible odds, humans would say to each other, "Remember the Morningstar." And somehow that gave them courage. The galaxy learned to respect humans in a new way. They learned that